Alright, the final Faded one for this set is here, this time with the Faded one of Ever Changing, so let's begin. And also some Magnolia support for her ride line, so let's begin. So to the new Magnolia ride line support, we started with Blossoming Flower Sylvan Horn Beast Karis, which is of course the grade 1 Wakey power, and the skill is auto. When rode upon by the grade 2 Sylvan Horn Beast, look at top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to one grade 2 or less normal unit from among them, call it to rearguard, put the rest of the drop. If you do not put any cards to the drop, put them into the bottom of the deck in any order. Basically what this does is basically lets you call something from the top 3 and then choose the remaining cards to either put from the drop or put in the bottom of the deck. Compared to the original and some other ride lines where you have to put the rest on the drop zone, this one is actually optional if you want to put the stuff in the drop zone. So in a way it fixes some of the problems that this deck does have, mainly losing triggers. In which we go to the grade 2 with 10k power, Mercy Sylvan Horn Beast Lattice, which has a skill auto. When rode upon by a grade 3 Magnolia, cost Soul Blast 1, choose a grade 3 or greater card from your drop zone or a normal card and put it to your hand. One key factor is that it says any Magnolia, meaning that there's future proof here, and I do hope to see a new Magnolia. But the second thing is you can use your ride deck fodder cards to be recycled here, or even that Soul Blasted card, but very unlikely. But it's nice that you can put them to hand instead of straight up calling it. But the second skill, Count Rearguard. During your turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Magnolia, plus 5k, which will matter sometimes, especially if you're calling it from Elder. Overall, a pretty nice update to the ride line, just hoping for a new Magnolia grade 3. And now to the new Faded 1 Krysrain ride line. Here's the starter, Wonder Lavender Usul. Moving on to the grade 1 Wakey power, Lively Navy Tiffany, which has a skill auto. When rode upon by the grade 2 Confident Aqua Mesute, look at the top card of your deck, call it to rearguard if it's grade 2 or less. Put it to your hand if it's not. So regardless, you do plus, which I do like. And of course, this is going to set up your plays. Next to the grade 2 with 10k power, Confident Aqua Mesute, which has the same skill of the grade 1, except that it's grade 3 instead, where auto when rode upon by a grade 3 Krysrain, look at top card of deck, call it to rearguard if it's a grade 3 or less. If it's not, put it to your hand. Basically, it's the same thing as a grade 1, just with higher grade value. Of course, this is meant to set up your board. And now to the grade 3 with 13 power, the Faded 1 of Ever Changing Krysrain, which has the skill at Vanguard. Once per turn, cost Counterblast 1, perform one of the following abilities. But if you have 4 or more units with different names, perform 2 abilities instead. If you have 5, perform all. So you can either draw a card and energy charge 3, choose one of your units, it gets plus 15 power in a turn, or this card gets plus 1 crit. One thing I like about this unique selected abilities is that you get to choose which ability to activate rather than if you have the required amount, activate this amount. Like if you cannot fill in all the requirements, you get to choose the specific ability that you want, compared to most cards where you need a certain amount of this condition to perform that certain ability. And I kind of find it pretty nice. Gives you resources plus more energy, which is a lot more resources, crit pressure, which is of course pretty good at early game, and also the extra 15k power buff, which is also pretty nice. Overall, I already kind of like its first skill, and it's gonna combo pretty well with the second skill, which is the Divine skill. Once per game, remember, auto Vanguard. At the end of battle that this unit attacked a grade 3 or greater unit costs, return all your rearguards back to your hand, and choose one unit from your hand and call it to rearguard, and until the end turn, change its power and critical to match this unit's power. So basically the goal of using this Divine skill is that you want to set up your board so you can give herself all the power and crit, and then once you use the Divine skill, bounce everything back to your hand, and then give one rearguard that you call all the power and crit that this card has gained. That includes your triggers, by the way. Not saying it's perfect or anything, but the fact that you get to bounce everything back to your hand, that is a very key point right there, because bouncing everything to your hand basically gives you a lot of hand advantage, aka guard value, which can even be stuff that you called from deck. And also you need those rearguards to fill the name requirements anyway of rearguards, so regardless, that bounce could be pretty powerful, especially when you're going up against retired decks. And the nice part is that you're not even wasting a trigger here. You just give it to your Vanguard, and then you just call one more rearguard for one extra attack, which is going to get the power of that trigger anyway, because matching the power of the Vanguard. And this doesn't account for additional skills. So overall, pretty nice, and I might end up playing this because I really like the design and I kind of like its playstyle. And now to her support, Cynical Compester Ram, which is a grade 1 Wakey power and skills. Count rearguard during the battle that this unit boosts. If you have a grade 3 or greater Krysrain, this card gets us 5k power, 13k booster, which is of course going to have the same clone second skill condition as well, where auto rearguard, when this unit boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Krysrain, you have 4 or more different units in name, cost energy blast 3 until the end of that battle. When your opponent would call cards from their hand to Guardian that are not Sentinel, they must choose 3 or more cards with different grades at the same time. I kind of like this guard restrict. The only thing is the no Sentinel part. because the Sentinel part could just immediately nullify the rest of the abilities. Now, if your opponent does not have a Sentinel, this might be a little bit hard to guard, because most of the high shield value of horse are triggers, which are grade 0s. And giving a guard restrict to your high-powered Vanguard with crit, that's pretty nice. Finally, Innocent Orange Annie's, which is a grade 2 with 10 power in the skills. Auto, when placed on rearguard, if you have a grade 3 or greater Krysrain, cost, counter blast 1, energy blast 3, look at top 5 cards of your deck, choose one card from among them with a different name from your Vanguard and rearguard and call it to rearguard, and of course shuffle your deck. This is of course helpful for the setup, especially when the deck needs rearguards. But the second skill is Auto Rearguard. When this card attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, if you have 4 or more units with different names, plus 10k power in the end of that battle. 20k beater on its own, and it's also plus engine. What's also nice is the first skill where it didn't say on a specific timing on placed on rearguard. Meaning, if you call it in battle, you could actually just call another unit from there and basically get another attack off. And remember, Krysrain gives you 3 energy, so that energy blast should be pretty easy. Of course, this is a must play. So that's it for this Lyrical Faded 1 of ever-changing ride line. What do you guys think of it? Honestly, I like the artwork already, and I kinda like its style too, focusing on rearguards with different names, and also because of Lyrical, bouncing, and then of course re-manipulating your board. I also like the condition of the extra power and crit, and the use of energy here. I kinda just like it. And also, so far all the divine skills are not too OP, and I love that as well. Most of them are kinda conditional. And this one is also kinda conditional because you wanna really time this right for the extra attack. You time it at the wrong time, it's not gonna really matter. But anyway, I am thinking about playing this deck because it looks pretty gorgeous. But in that's it for this, and see you all next time.